Hello, YouTube fam. It is Friday night, which makes it Friday Night Live. So, welcome back or just welcome. I am Texas Beach Mom or Mama. I currently have my fans going because it's that time of year where it's not hot enough to run the air conditioning, but it's not cold enough to run the heat. So, I turned off my central air, got fans going. If that's too loud, I need somebody to let me know. Or I've also got the TV going in the background on low because I am trying to keep an eye on the uh, uh, Tyson fight. And I am not a boxing fan. I am not a sports fan in general, um, which makes me, I guess, a bad Texan. I don't know. Um, I don't like baseball. I think it's boring. I don't watch football except for uh, the Super Bowl. Um, I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid um, because I watched it with my dad. Outgrew it. Hockey, I like once in a while, but I typically only like it live. Soccer, never really paid attention to. Boxing, I've never watched. And I'm not a big fan of boxing, like I just said, and I'm not a big fan of Mike Tyson's, and I'm not a big fan of Jake Paul. But because they're neither one of them are good people. Um, but the Paul brothers just, oh, God, they're horrible. So I'm kind of hoping that Tyson shows him a lesson, as much as I don't like neither one of them. But onward. I don't really have anything for tonight, really. I mean, I'm here because I said I would be here. So there's that. But the Menendez case really isn't doing much right now. So that's kind of out. And why does it look so cloudy tonight? It's clean. It looks kind of like, it doesn't look as clear. Oh, well. I actually just need a new laptop and or a new camera and camera stand. Maybe Sandy will bring me one. In the meantime, I'm just kind of fuzzy tonight. But what I started to say was I really didn't have much. There's that case of the lady from last week that I was going to talk about, but she was found. Watch this for Wednesday. Like there's really nothing going on right now that I know of. But I did want to cover something that crossed my mind today. Um, I know Gypsy Rose is old news, and I know the internet's turned against her. Nobody likes her anymore, and I get it. I do. I get it. But I was watching Life After Lockup, which I know I probably should have watched that months ago, but I didn't. I have seen all the documentaries on her before the unaliving of her mother, and I have seen the documentaries of her while she was in prison, but I've never seen Life After Lockup. So I watched a few episodes of it today. And she said something in one of her interviews that people have picked on her for. And I'm going to talk about that for a minute, since it is a true crime case. And I mean, it's kind of old news, but um, I watched her and I watched one of her interviews today, and I heard her say something that kind of struck a nerve, but not in a bad way. She was talking about how she wants, when she gets out, she wants to advocate or help out with people in her spot. She wants to use her, you know, newfound fame. And I listened to a lot of what she said, and I listened to a lot of her behavior. And I'm going to tell you this. First of all, going back to the beginning of it, she was abused. Now, I don't know if she was physically abused in the ways she said she was, but she was medically abused, and you cannot convince me different. The state of Missouri have proof of that, or she would have got a much harsher sentence. Now, The medical abuse itself, though, um, kind of led to mental and physical abuse. You having her head shaved so she would look cancerous, and having a feeding tube, and all the things that she did to her is a form of abuse. Even it's not just medical; it's other types of abuse. Now, again, I'm not her number one fan. Never claimed to be. Never will be. I think when she made that comment about wanting to use her freedom and her platform to advocate and blah 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 blah, I honestly believe in that moment she meant it. I do. I also believe that through most of her life she thought she was sick. I do know that as an older teenager or young adult she realized she wasn't, and did continue the charade. I do believe she was afraid of her mother. People say, well, why didn't she just leave? Well, she tried a couple times and got brought back home by her mother. Um, I'm not saying what she did was right. What she did was absolutely horrible, wrong, no excuse for it. And like I said, I don't even think she should be out of jail yet. I think she should still be in jail. But being that she is out and she is running around here willy nilly and enjoying her freedom and doing whatever the fuck she wants to do, um, I will say this. When she was talking about that, I believe her. I believe that was her original intention. I do. I mean, she spent all those years with her mom, and she was getting attention from the public because everybody thought she was getting attention and pity because people thought she was sick. Um, and she was somewhat famous in her own right as a sickly child. When she says she doesn't want fame, I don't think she did in the beginning. I do believe she simply wanted to get out of prison and go on with her life. Do I believe, and I do believe that she wanted to advocate for other people or help other people in her situation. I do. I believe all that. I believe that though once she got out and she was getting freedom and she was going on interviews and she was getting recognition, I think she learned that she did like it. And I think she learned to crave it. I think she learned, ooh, this feels good. The attention I'm getting feels great. And I think that even though I believe her intentions originally when she first got out, I do believe her intentions were good. But I think everything happened to her so fast that she kind of just got lost in the shuffle. Now, am I giving her an excuse? Not really. Like I said, she's not my favorite person, and she most certainly shouldn't have killed her mom. But watching the first few episodes of that made me start really looking at it. I mean, because I've watched so many content creators talk about her. They've talked about her in a good way. They've talked about her in a bad way. I'm not really talking about her in either way particularly, but I do believe when she first got out, her intentions were good. And I believe that they made her a media darling immediately. And I believe that all that fame and interviews and stuff felt good to her. That and she was doing things she never thought she'd ever be able to do. She was out of a wheelchair. She was married. She was out of prison. While she was out of a wheelchair, she was in prison, which she said felt good compared to being at her mom's house. Then she was married, and then she was finally home. She could be with her husband. I'll get to that in a minute. I know your thoughts and feelings. Um, I think she was allowed to be with her husband. I think she was allowed to be with her family. I think she was allowed to go out and do all the things she'd never done before. And I think with the fame and fortune, she turned from possible advocate to media monster. And she's not going to get better anytime soon. It's just going to get worse. Until everybody completely just turns on her and walks away from her, I don't think she's going to get any better. And she still has her hardcore, people that love her, hardcore followers, if you will. So with that being said, yeah, I think her intentions were good. Now, the other thing I've heard people bitch a lot about, she used Ryan. I think so too. But I don't think in the moment, initially, she saw it that way. And let me get on with that. She had been engaged to Ken. Ken was the love of her life. He dumped her. Based on some of the other documentaries, I think he dumped her for another woman. And I think he dumped her for a blonde based on something she said. But then Christy comes up to her and says, "Oh, no, he let you go because he wanted to see you grow. He wanted to see you get your life, blah, 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 blah." I don't believe he said that. I don't know why Christy got in the middle of it. I don't know what the hell's wrong with her. She shouldn't have. Plain and simple, she should have never, ever, ever got in the middle of it. Never, ever got in the middle of it. But she did. And I think her getting in the middle of it is what entered Ryan. Now, going back to what I was going to say, let's circle back around to Ryan. I do think she used him, but I don't think that was her intentions either. I think when Ken left her, she was heartbroken. She was just devastated. And based on some things that she said, I think he left her for another woman, and I think the woman was blonde. We'll get to that too. Back to Ken. So Ken dumped her. She was heartbroken. She was devastated. She didn't know what to do. I think Ryan came into her life at really kind of the wrong time, the right time for her, but the wrong time for him. And I think he was a rebound. I don't think she set out to use him. I think he was a rebound. And in the moment, the rebound, you don't realize the person's a rebound. I don't think most people do. I think what you feel for that person feels real to you. And then after she got out and she was with him and she was thinking, this is not. I think the reality hit her when she got out and she was spending time with him. I think she started spending time with him and thinking to herself, this is not what I wanted. This is what I thought I wanted, but it's not what I wanted. And then when she finds out from Christy or her stepmom, I think when she finds out that Ken still loved her, I think that's when she starts thinking about, ooh, maybe I can get Ken back. And I think she did. I think she dealt with an inner turmoil of I think she dealt with an inner turmoil of, I made a commitment to Ryan, and I should honor that. And I really love Ken, and I really want him back. And honestly, I don't think he loves her the way she loves him. I think he cares about her. And I think she got pregnant to keep him. I also think she got pregnant to keep out of prison because I think she believed somewhere in her head that if she's pregnant or got a baby to raise, they won't put her back in prison unless she does something really serious. Like, she doesn't think that they'll put her in for anything super serious. I mean, it has to be something serious. It won't be anything minor. But I think that's two reasons why she got pregnant. I think she got pregnant with Ken's baby to keep Ken. I think somewhere in the way back recesses of her mind, she realizes that Ken doesn't love her the way he should. And I think this is her way of dealing with it. But if I create the perfect family, if I do this, if I do that, blah, blah, he'll learn to love me in time. That's not how it works. That's whatever. Now, onward to another subject because I've covered all I can with that. She did while she was still with Ryan, um, she at one point was worried that she might, and this is the reason why I think the baby is Ken's. I mean, yeah, sorry. There has been a DNA test that she's posted online. I don't know how legitimate it is. I have no idea. I really don't care. Um, I don't know how legitimate it is. I have no clue. But I do think it's Ken's, and I can explain that too. There was a period of time when she was first with Ryan and she was still having sex with Ryan that her sister, her half sister Mia, gave her a morning after pill because she might be pregnant. So she took care of that shit immediately. And then the first chance she had alone with Ken, I'll bet you everything that she had unprotected, she did it to get him. Like I said, go back to the beginning of what I just first started talking about. I do believe with all my heart that she started out with good intentions, and I believe with the instant fame and the fortune that came with it, and it felt good. It felt good, and she wanted to keep making that money, so she turned into what she's turned into. Um, that and her dad makes a comment. Ron makes a comment in one of the episodes about she's a 2-year-old woman, but she's making decisions like a 17-year-old girl. Got to think about that too. She grew up, she was raised like a child. She was raised like a child, and she was raised to be a child, even into her adult life. And she was lied to about her age for years. She didn't find out her real age until years, like years later. And she's like, wait a minute, the math ain't math, and something's wrong here. Um, so she was always childlike. And then she gets into prison. You would have thought prison would have taught her some fast lessons, and maybe it did, but not the right lessons. She's emotionally very immature still. So that's also been a problem. Um, but back to Ryan and Ken. So the first chance she had alone with Ken, I think she made sure she got pregnant, which people are dogging her for. And I get that. It's not right. We got to keep remembering. We got to keep remembering that she was always treated like a child. She never really had a chance to grow and mature the way she should. Um, excuse me. She never had a chance to grow like she should. Never, ever had a chance to grow like she should. Um, not trying to give her a scapegoat, but I am trying to explain some of her behavior. And all this is from today. Like I learned all this stuff today. Excuse me. So I learned all this stuff today. Sorry, I learned all this stuff today. So we have that I talked about. And back to Ryan and Ken. I think Ryan was a rebound. I don't think she realized it. I think Kim was the love of her life. And I think originally he had dumped her for another woman. And I think this woman was blonde because something she says in her documentary. In the documentary about her prison life, she talked about, I hope he's happy at that blonde bimbo or whatever she called her that he just left me for. So she starts hearing from her stepmom. Ken's snooping around. He's telling me he still loves you. She's already realized, before she even hears from Ken, she's already realized that Ryan's not what she's looking for. And also at the time, I think the reason why that flourished the way it did, I think number one, she was brokenhearted and he was a rebound. But I think number two, she was in prison. She was in prison, so her options were probably limited. And I did hear somewhere maybe from her, that she was getting millions and millions of fan mail from millions and millions of men. Maybe so. I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I think her options were somewhat limited. I think he was saying all the right things at the right time. I think he was a rebound. I don't think her intentions were to hurt him. Like I said, when she got out, she started realizing he wasn't her cup of tea. I think on top of that, not only was he not her cup of tea, but then she started finding more about Ken through her stepmom. All that stuff started happening together. I think that's why she bleached her hair blonde, because and one of the first things she did was she got a tattoo. Then she got her nails done. And I don't remember. Then I think after that she bleached her hair blonde. I think the bleaching the hair blonde was because she knew Ken was single. Again, she made a comment once in one of the documentaries about Ken dumping her for a blonde and about hoping he's happy. I hope he's happy with that blonde. So I think, because Ryan even makes a comment like, I'm not even, you keep going, I'm not even going to know my own wife, you know? So with that being said, that was part of it. I think, because I know that after that, she bleached her hair blonde. And then I think after that's when she got her teeth done and her nose done. I don't remember the order that she did the cosmetic stuff. I know the blonde was first. And I still believe that was for Ken. I've really not been seeing more than a few episodes of it yet, so I don't really have any opinions on it at the moment. But I do have a few, and that's pretty much them. I do think her intentions were good in the beginning. What she's turned into now, and as I said earlier, I think she should still be in prison. I think she should be in prison, but she's not. I think her initial intentions were good. I think the fame felt good. The fortune made her. Well, I mean, everybody likes money. Everybody needs money. Most people like it. Like, to get your hands on it, you want to make more of it. And I think it all went to her head. I think it all happened really quick. I don't think she was ready for it. And I think it all went to her head. And I think because of the fame and the fortune that was kind of thrust at her feet before she was ready for it, I think it helped turn her into the person she was. And I do not believe she started out that way. I could be wrong about her, and if I am, we have a different opinion. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's really all I have on that. I intend to watch more episodes. I intend to learn more about it, and I probably will run my big mouth about it, because that's what I seem to do the best at, running my big mouth. So with that being said, this will be a short live stream tonight because I don't really have anything else. And except for the Tyson Paul match is about to start. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. I mean, if I had more to talk about, I would just keep going because I can keep an eye on the TV set while I'm doing this. But with me not having any more information, I do believe I'm going to head and wrap it up. I love everyone. I hope you take care. Make yourself. I love everyone. I hope you take care of yourself. Make good decisions. Look out for each other. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, y'all have a good one. I love you and good night.